Hello, YouTube. Um, on July 7th, 2015, I made a review of Davis Aurini's The Sarkeesian Effect Rough Draft Preview. And then in September of last year, I did a review of Jordan Owen's actual full length documentary, The Sarkeesian Effect. And there was a split between them, and they were each doing their own versions, but apparently Davis Aurini's version got turned into a completely different project, and I'm going to review it as I said I would, even though it's not the same project. I'm going to review what it became. And it is called Immersed in Subversion. It's on the Matt Forney channel because Davis Aurini was having some channel problems, some issues with his channel. It went down for a while. He was suspended for a while. And here goes. First 12 minutes of Immersed in Subversion. Unoriginal Anita Sarkeesian bashing. That's all it was. It's like all of the things that I've seen on every other YouTube video about Anita Sarkeesian and her tropes in video game series. But I actually don't blame Davis Aurini for this. She just hasn't put out a lot of work. Like there's not much to bash that's actually there. So everything's already been done about her actual videos. And I was actually glad that the entire documentary that Davis made was not about Anita Sarkeesian. I thought that was actually a good move on his part to break away from just talking about her. So, moving on. Part 1 being about Saul Alinsky when it started out in Part 1. I've already talked about how I feel like Saul Alinsky is a boogeyman that only right-leaning people know about. The people that he's ascribing Saul Alinsky's tactics to actually seem to be completely oblivious as to who Saul Alinsky is. I said that in my previous review of his rough draft that came out July of last year. So I'll link the previous reviews I've done in the description box along with his video so that you get all of my thoughts on that. Next, there was a good segment about Gail Dines. And I felt like within the structure of this documentary, having the Gail Dines talk at the TEDx conference, having footage of that really drove it home for me that, like, this is somebody who's trying to get her message out on an education platform. Education, education, education. There were some flashes of that word, and I felt like that really worked well. The Honey Badger Brigade explained Anita Sarkeesian using the whole damsel in distress trope, with herself by selling her victimhood all the time. And I felt like they should have maybe worked in the term white knighting and explained how that works. But I still felt like they came across as poignant and understandable. When Polar Roller, when he made the point that some of the tactics that the social justice warriors were using were the same that the Klan used, I felt like that came off a lot better than trying to tie their tactics to Saul Alinsky. I felt like it was more understandable when he said it, that, they used to attack people's jobs, they used to attack people's addresses, that's what they would do. And I just felt like that is a lot more understandable and relatable. I really like the addition of the graphic that it had Jack Thompson on one side and Anita Sarkeesian on the other, and it had both of their rhetorics being compared, and then some of their laurels, and then it showed how Jack Thompson didn't really get anywhere with his stuff, and Anita Sarkeesian is being applauded all over the internet. That was an addition to the previous version, and I really liked that one graphic. Part two's narrative of the origins of Gamergate was fucking spot on. Especially the way that the subject is being more than just Anita Sarkeesian. Because the origins of Gamergate had nothing the fuck to do with Anita Sarkeesian. And I love that this documentary hammers that home. I wish more people that thought they knew what Gamergate was would just realize that Anita Sarkeesian hijacked the Gamergate hashtag to be about her when she wasn't even spoken of in the beginning of it. The subject of entryism comes up at about 42 minutes into the documentary, and although I agree with the concept being put forth, it comes off as incredible. Talking about Trotsky is bad. Stalin and Sololinsky. It's like when you're trying to connect an SJW today to people like 100 years ago. It's just not working. It isn't. But the link between Anita Sarkeesian and pickup artists and telemarketers, that stuff is juicy. I wish there was more about that in the movie. Talking about Marxism, bad. It just looks like you're trying to poison the well. That's what it looks like to me. So part 3 started out slow, but after a couple of minutes, there was this really great montage of people from throughout the movie, just little clips of them calling social justice warriors immature and lazy. And just that montage was well done. I gotta give that credit. Then later it goes on to say that social justice warriors suffer from narcissism and that social justice warriors project. And I was like, that's probably going to come back to bite him. When I was watching this, I'm like, I might actually agree with some of the points of the sociopathy of some people, or narcissism, or at least aspects of them. I don't like to diagnose people over the internet. That's just something I don't do, but I can see those points, but still, the irony intertextually of what happened between Jordan Owen and Davis Aurini, that fallout, made Davis Aurini look like maybe a sociopath or a narcissist. So his words in this documentary might come back to haunt him, especially because in his new Patreon campaign, because he's moving forward after this, he's going to be making more documentaries. Look at the list and the list of topics that he's chosen. And one of those is he's going to revisit a series that was popular on his channel, which was talking about psychological disorders, specifically those disorders, sociopathy and narcissism. So I'm like, wow. It's pleasantly oblivious to the intertextual reference that it's making. I liked the way that the movie ended with appeals to the sanctity of free speech. That resonated with me. I felt like that was a good thing. as well as once again bringing up that Anita Sarkeesian had hijacked the whole anti-Gamergate thing because she had nothing to do with it in the beginning. I felt like that was good. Overall, comparing Davis Aurini's documentary Immersed in Subversion versus Jordan Owen's documentary The Sarkeesian Effect. Final products on both of them. Overall, I'm going to have to say that Davis Aurini actually did come out with a superior product. The sound levels are better, for one. And I like the way that the clips follow the overall narrative that Davis Aurini was putting forth. It wasn't like, okay, now we're going to visit this person for 10 minutes, now we're going to visit this person for 10 minutes. And parts of Davis Aurini's work, the clips jump around, between different interviews, but it's always following the topic that part was talking about. So I like that basically the clips followed the narrative better. And the poem at the end with Kipling, it was apropos. And so I'm done talking about it. Links in the description box to find everything that I talked about. And I look forward to seeing everyone reviewing his other documentaries that he's now raising money for on Patreon. So, good stuff.